Well, I'm well aware. It's not Sunday. It's Monday. But there was a lot going on all week. Obviously, I'm away. I want to make sure I updated everybody on what went on this week at the barn. I want to talk to everybody about what's coming up over the next week or two, and then again, any just normal updates from the barn. So it's not going to be your typical, talk about the yearlings, talk about the 2-year-olds, the 3-year-olds, the racehorses. I'm just going to give you guys an update of what took place last night. Obviously, we had some great racing last night at Northfield Park. I want to talk about which horses we're going to be racing this week. We have some horses that we're going to move around. Dover has been a pretty tough nut to crack so far as getting in to go. But I was told yesterday morning by Mr. Munson that we are able to get Captain Incredible and at least one or a couple more horses in to go in Dover. So Captain Incredible will be heading down to Dover. Rock Shining Star will be following him. Now, I did want to talk about him in particular. A bit of a poor race last night at Northfield Park, and I wanted to get into what my thoughts are on Rock Shining Star and why I think it's important that a horse like him, in his condition, the way he's racing, just kind of move around a little bit. So we had a long week. It was a beautiful week here. It's nice to get away once in a while, but you're always left. If you're like me and you're really immersed in your work all the time, it's really tough to let it go, right? There just wasn't going to be a scenario where a video like this wasn't done to update everybody. I wanted to make sure that I got that done. It grounds me a little bit too, right? Because when you're away, you don't want to feel that you're letting anyone down. I don't want to feel that I am doing even though it's, you can say, well, it's my vacation, I'm not doing anything, that's fine. But when you have a lot of people asking and looking for updates on their horses on a daily, weekly basis, then it's important to have these videos. And I could delegate it to somebody else. I just don't know if you would get the same explanations you would from me. So I just felt it was better that I just continue to do it, and I wanted to bring you a short video on Monday. So we'll see if we can keep it short. Anyway, so we started off the week. Amy and I went away. What day did we leave, honey? Tuesday. Went away Tuesday. So you guys saw that Monday there was cancellations. Blue Ventura was supposed to race, got canceled. We entered him. We went down him at Northfield. They were going to put him way over his head. I declined. I said to Jason, no, don't put him in there. The class at the Meadows did not fill. The class at Miami Valley, he was not getting in again. So we opted to put him in the sale today and preferred. We were always heading in this direction over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I've been very clear with everybody. These are the types of horses that once they get to that 7 wins, they either have to be able to get into the numbers of 10 competition, which is tough enough as it is. They're only going to be racing it at Miami Valley, and they're not going to be able to fill it at the Meadows, and it makes it difficult. So if you can't get him in, and more importantly, if he's not super competitive, then what are your options? Well, your first option is always the one that makes the most sense, and that is to simply put him up for sale. Now, I'm not going to just give the horse away today. Having said that, our options are limited. If we do keep Blue Ventura, we have to look for a venue change for this horse, because there is nowhere to race him at Northfield Park. Nowhere I'm going to race him at Northfield Park. So it made all the sense in the world to maybe explore our options on the free agency market, so to speak. I suspect a horse like him will probably bring, I don't often do this, but he's going to bring $15,000, $16,000, I would imagine. And that's kind of what he's worth, maybe a little bit more. He is racing rather well right now, and he does fit classes, I'm sure, at maybe at Dover, maybe at Saratoga. And you may ask yourself, well, why not send him to Dover? Well, again, Delaware owned and bred get in first. It's hard to get him in on a weekly basis. Northfield was our bread and butter for this horse, and the kitchen's closed. So we're forced to make some decisions, and I think Blue Ventura, putting him on the open market, makes all the sense in the world. So that's why he's on there today. We went back last week with Agent Black. Now here's a horse that raced so well. His start before, winning in 56 on a frozen track with the earplugs in, but then came back to race in the mud last week, got roughed up a little bit, cleared to the front, and wilted. Finished 6th or 7th, did not race well. Little mucus found afterward the next morning anyway, a little bit of mucus and some minor tie-up and some blood issues that we have to work on, but nothing serious, quite frankly, and I expect a much better effort from him tomorrow at Northfield Park than he had last week. Arrowhead Hanover just continues to amaze. Here's a horse that's off 3 weeks, races in the Meadowlands, races right out of his skin, then comes back another 3 weeks because of this Dover issue, and comes back and finishes a great second again. Now, fifth and onwards a 9 at Dover. They put him into the Open 2, right? Quite a jump. Ends up second anyway, and they reward him with the jump right to the Open. So I'm not really happy, but it's their sandbox, and sometimes you gotta play with the toys they let you play with, and we'll see how this plays out with Arrowhead Hanover. But it certainly seems that Tony Morgan stuck with him in the Open 1 this week, so it seems like that's where he's headed. And if they want to put him in the Open 1 and he's competitive in the Open 1, then by all means, we'll race him in the Open 1, I guess. The only disappointment last week that I saw was on Wednesday. Was on Wednesday with Mortlock. I thought of all the locks, Mortlock was the lock of the week. I just thought he couldn't lose a maiden, and this is racing, and you should never go into a race feeling that way. It's fine to understand what he is and what he's capable of. He didn't get to that level last week, and it's simply because he tied up a little bit. I think the track played a role, and obviously he tied up a little bit, so it did play a negative role. He didn't get in on Wednesday. He is entered. I don't know if he's going to get in. We entered 3 horses in Miami Valley. We'll talk a little bit more about Miami Valley here in a couple of minutes. We're going to shuffle some horses down to Southern Ohio. As I said, we'll talk about that in just a minute, but Mortlock will be on that bus heading down there. I think he's a talented horse. There's no need to have him in Northfield Park. He's going to race for more money at Miami Valley, and I think he's going to serve us very well down there. Chicago Hall, that was, a condition claimer at Northfield, blah, blah, blah. That was a good mile coming from last. I think the last time I saw him race like that, he was in a stake race, and maybe Chris Christopher drove him to come charging late, if I'm not mistaken. Now, also, I guess, a shout out to Chris. I know he got dumped out last night. Just one of those things where you're a small field, big track, professional drivers, good horses, and somehow an incident still happens where Chris gets dumped out of the bike, and it was actually James's horse, Hasty Bit, that run over Chris. Looks like he run over his ankle, and if I watched it correctly, he's very lucky he didn't get his torso or his head run over. So whatever injuries he has, a speedy recovery to him. Good guy, good driver, and as I said, the last time I saw Chicago Hall race like that was out of the clouds. I think when Chris had drove me, raced really well one night. Not really known for his circling up and being aggressive on the end of the mile type horse, and Aaron took him off the gate and raced him very, very well. And again, he drew the outside this week. Now, you might note that on Wednesday, the early part of the card, I was not listed, and the later part of the card, I am listed. I really wanted to go there to drive Rose Run Bobby. I wanted to make sure that she keeps going forward. She's an extremely fragile filly. Mentally, she's come a long way, but she's still a bit of a flake. And I wanted to make sure that she's not pushed, she's not uncomfortable. She knows the same voice, she knows the same driver. It is not very often a horse like that comes along, but I don't know how good Rose Run Bobby is, but I'd like to find out on her terms, and I wanted to make it back to racing, so I asked the race office to put me in late. My plane actually lands at 8:41. It's scheduled to land at 8:41 at night, and I think Bobby's scheduled at like 10 o'clock. So I'll be rushing over to go with her. And then Memento Mori, we actually put Justin on Memento Mori, but he had his own horse in there, so I'll drive him in the 14th. I think I'm in 12th and 14th with Bobby and Memento Mori, the early part of the card. I believe we have Chicago Hall and one other horse, and I think Chicago Hall, Aaron drove the horse great. Allure, I think, is the other horse. Those horses are in earlier on, but I thought he raced great last week. And then talking about Memento Mori, a very good mile from him again, getting back into some sort of a rhythm. We're never going to be saying, I don't think you're ever going to hear me say, finally getting to see Mori back to where he was. I don't think we're going to be in a position to say that again, because as he reaches that 7-win plateau, if he can't do in the non-winners at 10 over at Miami Valley, then he too will likely see some sort of a open market type situation. But certainly coming on a 2-race heater this week and in a good spot to do well again. Now, last week at the end of the week, Captain Incredible raced well, finishing second, but he will be heading to Dover. I just want to change things up with this guy. Get him somewhere different. I already know he hits his knee and gets out of gear with the winter corks on the track at the Meadows. And rather than trying to change everything around on him, maybe it's easier just to change the surface, change the track, change the scenery and the setting, and that's exactly what we're going to try and do with Captain Incredible. I have no idea. It might be the wrong move, and in 2 or 3 starts he'll be headed back to the Meadows. I don't know, but I do know that I think that this is just a little bit of a shakeup for Captain Incredible as we head into the deeper part of the winter. So Rock Shining Star also I showed a little bit of blood mucus last night. He was in an earlier race so we could get him scoped. We had him on Lasix last year, and I wasn't really happy with the outcome. He seemed to be better off of Lasix, but he's worse now than he ever is. His last couple of starts were disappointing. He certainly felt like a horse that was bleeding, and he did show a tiny bit of blood after the race. So we're going to put him on Lasix, send him to Dover also for a little shake-up. So Mr. Munson will have Arrowhead Hanover, Rock Shining Star, and Captain Incredible down with him in Dover. I got the news the latter part of last week that Dover was going to start accepting more entries, and those entries in particular. So Captain Incredible and Rock Shining Star will be heading to Dover. You fast forward to last night. Coming into last night, we had such a bad Sunday the week before. The horses just felt out of place, and of course we knew Rock Shining Star, even with the rail, how would he be? Disappointing. That was really the only truly disappointing mile of the night. You can say that Nassau raced bad, trotted in 2 minutes and a piece. Again, draws 7 and 8 his last 2 starts. I think we can change his bridle next time he draws in easy, train him up very, very hard in between, and have him ready to go for the races. Not that we don't have him ready to go, but to train him up zinging tight, to have the 7 hole when you're trying to take him back, it's not always that good. So we trained him up lightly, went a mile and 25. I'll probably, in between starts, put him in the bike and go a mile and 2.5. It's not common that we do that, but we really want to have this guy just as fit as a fiddle the next time he races with the inside post. So he had the outside post, and then HB Liz Shadow. I had a very polite and professional message from one of our owners on HB Liz Shadow, one of the main owners on HB Liz Shadow, after the race, just asking if he could get to a 5/8 because he races better there. So my answer was simple. We did enter him in Miami Valley last week, or the Meadows, I forget which one it was. He did not get in. Still had quite a bit of money on his card, so opted to just put him back in the class we had him in last Sunday. Hoped to draw 1, 2, 3, instead drew 7. When you take a horse like HB Liz Shadow off the gate on a half-mile track, it's tough. I can only think of one tougher way to win, and Drebin did it last night. I want to end the video about last night with Drebin, so I'll bounce around a little bit. We started our night yesterday with Rock Shining Star. As I said, really to me the only disappointing mile of the night was Rock Shining Star. Bridge Over Broadway was great. One of our clients messaged me after and said, Anthony, somebody might claim this filly if you keep putting her in there. I said, well, first off, it's a mare. She's a 4-year-old mare now. She does move up, and if somebody wanted to claim her for the 33 last week, go ahead, last night. But they definitely aren't going to claim her for the 45,000 she goes for next week in the class she's to jump up into. Bridge Over Broadway, Tally the Tab. Now, we'll talk about Tally in a second, but those horses, like those horses, Memento Mori, the way he's racing right now, I know we're going to have to put away the memories of 2024 Maury. I'm just happy that we have a Maury that's winning races and going on the track at 6-5. But all of those horses that we have settled in those classes are in good spots, right? Very good spots, and that's exactly the type of horse that we're looking for. So when Bridge Over Broadway goes on the track at 7-5 and runs off like she's 1-5, that's what you want to see, right? And because of the claiming tag in Northfield Park, it's incredibly hard to just go to the bank, get a bank draft for $33,000 to claim a horse that you may or may not know it, but we paid $7,500 for that filly. Now next week's $45,000. There's nobody rushing in to claim Bridge Over Broadway, which even makes it better because she is going to go away 9-5, 6-5, even with a class jump next week. Just a really nice filly to be around, and exactly the type of horse that we're looking for. That's the type of horse we're looking for. Is the horse not necessarily the 7,500. Tally the Tab was 21,000, I believe. Allure was somewhere up around 14 or 15, I believe. These are the types of horses. I don't know if they can hear the water ring. These are the types of horses that that you want, that we're on the lookout. When we buy those types of horses, right away I want to be able to weed them out, like the horse we bought out of New Jersey. I didn't like him. We got rid of him, traded him, or sold him for what we paid for him virtually and had into him. and then bounce back with buying Bridge Over Broadway in his place. I think that was obviously a very fortuitous trade and purchase, but those are the types of horses we're looking for. You can't claim Bridge Over Broadway. I dare you. You can't do it. And she's going to pound them the next 3 starts at Northfield too. And who knows what happens after that. You get a horse like her that's clearly fast, clearly has a certain amount of talent, and then just sprinkle on an abundance of confidence. She could be a really nice horse for us for quite a while. So Bridge Over Broadway, love to see her raced again. HB Liz Shadow, you know, to all my partners, whether it be the Strasburgs or anybody else, you draw the 7 hole, and he draws 1-2 last night, he's a factor. You know, he draws 7, he's not. And that's just the way half-mile racing is. You know, Amy had said it last night after the race. You know, it's really tough to watch horses race from the outside. I get it. Somebody said, well, the horse that won it had the 8 hole. The horse that won it's a better horse right now. We can say, oh, he won at Grand River and he won at Ottawa. None of that matters. He's here now. And right here, right now, the horse that won the race was the best horse in the race. And HB Liz Shadow, you know, he's not going to get the respect that Dan Noble's horse got. Right? Dan Noble's horse won in 52 and 53 over that track in those series. And the horse that made front, that's the one that parked me 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. So it's just the timing, the way the race is and the way the horse is. He draws 1, 2, 3, even 4 last night. He's right there. But he drew 7, and that's the way the race shook out. Nevertheless, he's heading to Miami Valley for his next start anyway. He's going to race down in the 5/8. I think he raced better than most people thought he would on a half. And make no mistake, he drops a big chunk of money off his card now. He'd probably win his next start at Northfield too, because he's way down in class. But he can race for more money way down in class at Miami Valley. The biggest, nail-biting time of last night was watching Greatest Ending and watching Salzbrook Ian. I didn't know how Salzbrook Ian would race. This is a horse that has struggled quite a bit his last 2 months. I feel the shoeing change that we made on him, his Brett before his qualifier was great, but now he's in to go with a new driver. And I know he missed the gate a little bit, but as I said after the race with Drebin, and we'll talk about him, I would much rather you miss the gate a little bit than have him climbing over the gate and make a break. And I'll explain that comment a little bit more in a minute. But with Salzbrook Ian, yeah, he missed the gate, but he was still beat 6-7 lengths. He raced really, really well. And you guys know it. Like, when Greatest Ending is even remotely good, he's a decent horse, right? He's a backup class, maybe 2 from the top, 3 from the top type horse, but a decent horse. The problem with Greatest Ending is there's no consistency with Greatest Ending, right? None. It's just, when he's good, and when he's bad, you're like, oh my God, this is really bad. And there just doesn't seem to be a lot of gray area with him. He is good right now. He was good last night. If we can keep him that good, get him on a roll up 2 or 3 or 4 races, he's another horse. Remember I told you about that ladder racing. He's another horse that's probably going to face free agency here if we can get 2 or 3 or 4 good lines on Greatest Ending, heading into, as I said, the deeper part of the winter. And Rock Shining Star, a horse like him, not far behind him. We just have to get those decent lines on him first. He's another one. He's a little more gray area type horse. He isn't great right now. He's okay. He needs to be a lot better than that. And I think the shakeup going to Dover, and again, we are going to enter him back on the Lasix program, but going down to Dover and racing with different horses out of a different barn, different scenery, different track, everything's new. It's kind of like putting a fresh coat of paint on an older building. Still looks okay. And I think Rock Shining Star just needs that shakeup. So Greatest Ending, happy with him. I'd like to see him put 2 or 3, 4 more like that on the table. And then Salzbrook Ian, again, I didn't see him rough at all. I thought the horse looked very good last night. Now, I haven't talked to Johnny Sioka at all about Salzbrook Ian, but I think first over from where he was, out 4th on the outside on the last turn, a horse advancing from the right, had to overtake the horse on the left. He still got up and finished 3rd. I thought the horse raced pretty good. Happy with Salzbrook Ian. Trosa running in the turns. I think it's safe to say if Tyler gets ahead of Larry Stahlbaum getting into the last turn, Tyler's probably a winner, right? That's how it looked to me anyway. And Trosa, it's not his class. And the same thing I said to Jason last night. No more open 2. Put him in the non-winners at 8 where he belongs. I know the race office, we talk about this with Mohawk, and there's 1 or 2 people from Mohawk here today. and that have come away with us, and I've been clear about it. Hating the fact that you got to race in tougher because the classes aren't filling. I told you that is not just a Mohawk problem. Trosa fits the 13.5 class. There'll be no more open twos for Trosa for right now. I don't mind helping out if my horse fits the open two and it's not filling and he's going to get a handicap on the inside in the open. Okay, fine, that happens. When he fits an onwards, the class, in fact, he raced in the 17.5 class. If I'm not mistaken, there's a 15 class. He fits the 13.5 class. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he does. So if he fits lower, which I'm 99.9% sure he does, he'll be racing lower. There'll be no more open twos for Trosa for a while. It's just not doing it. We should be in a place where we can win. The horse is good enough to win the class he fits. That's where he should be racing, and that's what we're going to try and do with Trosa. Now, Nassau, I talked about Nassau. I jumped over Drebin. Told you I'm going to end the night talking about Drebin. Nassau, I know everybody wants Nassau to be a better horse. I do. Steve does. Everybody does that is still in on the horse. The reality of the situation is he's going to trot 58-4, 59 his next start. That's what he's going to trot. And hopefully that's good enough for the class that he is going to be in. It got cloudy all of a sudden, didn't it? For the class that he is going to be in, next week. So he draws inside. We will have him very, very tight, and I fully expect that Nassau is going to race better his next start. Now Drebin. I sent Ronnie a message in the afternoon. I said, listen, I'm going to be as upfront as I can. There's nobody that ever did or ever will drive Drebin that'll say, that's my favorite horse to drive. He is not a nice horse to drive. He's got a mouth on him like a dinosaur. You cannot steer him sometimes. He can pull and lug, and you can't win those battles with him. You just can't. Let's see if I turn this a little bit. No more light over here. Look at that. You just can't win those battles with Drebin. He's just too strong. So what you have to do is, if you watch me drive him, you have to come in from way behind, because he really can't trot like a quarter in 26, 27 seconds. He's not like a runaway. He's just got that mean mouth on him in third gear. He'll have it going slow. He'll have it going medium speed. At top speed, he's 2 fingers. So if you bring him in and let him trot into the gate, as you get closer, he's a little more malleable. He's a little more flexible in his jaw than if you get there and you grab him, because he's up on top. But once you get to that gate and you got to grab him, lights out. There's nothing you can do. You will never win that fight. You may as well hook the lines to the wing of the starting gate. You're not going to win. And when I saw him get close, I'm like, oh my God, this isn't good. We used to be able to put him on the gate. James always did. He's just not that horse right now. I think his first couple of steps off the car, he touches himself, he gets out of gear, and he'll run. And he ran. I turned the phone off. I was disgusted. I was angry. I just turned the phone off. I might have cursed a little bit right there in the tub. I didn't even watch the race. Didn't even watch it. I got messages started coming in. Wow, unbelievable. I can't believe that. And I'm like, wow, unbelievable. Bad? I know it was bad. So I'm like, I said, I don't know. Maybe he grabbed a check. I don't know. Turned on the replay. I couldn't believe it. That's an incredible mile. Do you know how much of a layover you have to be to make a break at the gate and with those types of horses? Move them at the quarter, catch second over cover, 3 wide down the backstretch, past that horse, collar the leader, and advance coming out of the turn and drive off and win by a length and a half? Well, he's just a layover. It was just unfortunately, we have to qualify him now. I'm sure of that. But it is unbelievable, the trip he went last night at Northfield Park. I can't believe it. I can't get over it. Now we have a problem. Qualifiers are on Wednesday. Do we qualify him a week from Wednesday and try and race him back in 4 days? Or do we qualify him this Wednesday in 2 days? No, they qualify Meadows on Tuesdays. I'm just thinking of the best way forward for Drebin. I don't know what day they qualify at Miami Valley also. If we have any in Thursday, I don't know if they qualify Thursdays. I'll look. You don't have to email me. I'll figure it out. Somebody just messaged me. So I'll look into when Drebin has to qualify, but I'm certain. When I was a kid, you made a break and win. It didn't matter, but I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm pretty sure he has to qualify. So I think the least of our worries is getting him qualified. As I said, the break last week was was a combination of, you saw what happened, right? He get up on top of Justin, and as soon as I went to grab him, then all he wants to do is fight with you. It's almost like his jaws just lock like an alligator, and there's nothing you can do. It's not a very nice feeling, quite frankly. When you get him in a hole and let him roll up on a helmet, he's actually not bad. He'll let horses pass him. You can get doubled up with him. But when you get him in a flow where he's in an attacking position, it's almost like fight or flight with him. It's really hard to explain, and not a lot of horses do this. But man, he can really, really hook on sometimes. All right. So that was the week that was. I think the only letdowns from the week, Mortlock tied up. He'll bounce back well, I believe. Agent Black was flat. He'll be better hopefully tomorrow. All our horses are in a good spot otherwise. The only ones that have struggled, Liz Shadow, he's going down to Southern Ohio. You've heard me say this, going down to Southern Ohio. But we're going to send some. So this is what happened last week. We had hired a gentleman named Scott Davidson. Very, very good caretaker. I drove horses for him. He's a trainer. I drove horses for him this summer. I won with a couple of them, and very knowledgeable trainer. And he had said that he just wanted to change. And he came and worked for us as a caretaker. And the word that comes to mind is overqualified. And I believe that's what I told him when he said he would come work with us. I said, you're really overqualified for the job we need right now, but if you want to come over, that would be good. Now, Scott had an opportunity to train a couple of more horses on his own and had said, I think this might be my last week. I have an opportunity. He said, I don't know if I want it, but, if you're a trainer, you want to train. You don't want to be a caretaker. So I said, Scott, I've been watching you, and I didn't know a whole lot about Scott whoa, I knew that was going to happen. I didn't know a whole lot about Scott. Other than to pick up the lines and train his horses. I didn't know what kind of guy he was, so I asked around, good guy, does a really good job, but I wanted to see it firsthand. This is a guy that's taking care of Yo Mister on his way back, Diosa de la Donza, who's a little troublesome sometimes also. A number of the 2-year-olds, it didn't matter who we gave him, he was happy to do them. 3 Point, when he come back over to rehab before Christmas time, Scott took care of him, does a very good job, super meticulous guy, and knows his stuff. So I was faced with an opportunity where we were going to lose somebody that, as I said, was overqualified to be a caretaker. He was taking care of 6 or 7 horses in our barn. So that meant it left a 6 or 7 horse hole in our barn that we couldn't fill right now. We did have some caretakers coming in, but these were people that were, self-professed horse people, but not necessarily, been a while since I worked around standardbreds type person, which it's like riding a bike, but we're still losing a top caretaker and trying to replace that person with somebody that is not just yet, maybe. And again, I don't know that. I just wasn't willing to take the risk. So I told him, rather than you taking horses on from other people that might be claimers or horses that are so-so, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you down to Miami Valley with 5 or 6 horses. Right? You'll be down as trainer. We'll check in, we'll talk, same as I do with all the trainers. There'll be times I can go down and drive them and times I can't go down and drive them, but we'll see how it works out in Southern Ohio. Now, no promises heading into Scioto, because that's only a hop, skip, and a jump away. But it's a door we always wanted to kind of open. Stacy's done a great job for us, but Stacy has her own barn. Stacy is an independent trainer. She's not our trainer, she's her own person. Does a great job, has her own stable. This would be more of an us stable. Kind of what I envisioned happening when Jason McGinnis came back to the States. Him or Jason Merriman were going to go down south. But I have plans also for Scott. If this works out and things work out well for us, this could be a very good relationship for a number of reasons moving forward. So we'll see how this plays out. But for right now, I'm going to send, I had the list right here. I'm going to send Allure only because we're going to, now the bridge out of Broadway is moving up, we're going to have a little compact in the middle. So I think Allure, gorgeous package, was always meant to be down there. I just didn't want to be shipping down there when she wasn't great all by herself. And we didn't have any other horses down there on that particular day, except for now. We entered 3, Mortlock, Winter Soldier, and Gorgeous Package for Thursday at Miami Valley. I can't imagine Gorgeous Package gets in because she just raced Saturday night. But we'll see. For now, my vision is Allure, Gorgeous Package, HB Liz Shadow, Mortlock, Winter Soldier, and Yo Mister heading down to Southern Ohio. As I said, Scott has been taking care of Yo Mister since we brought him back. Started going with him. He has a very good handle on him. The horse was good the other day. I think we'll requalify him Wednesday rather than just throw him to the wolves, because the poor bugger's got 12,000 made last 4. He's going to have to fit in the opener backup class no matter where we race him. And a mile and 2-2 over Northfield is not going to suit us very well, or him very well. There's nothing you can do about it. Jason did the right thing. The track wasn't great. We got him qualified. Now hopefully the track is better this coming Wednesday, and he can let him rattle a little bit. So that was a big update. We have some horses heading down to Southern Ohio. It actually helps us a lot. It frees up some stalls in the barn. It keeps us keeps a guy in our employment that is clearly, at the very least, going to do us a lot of good. So it keeps him here at the same time also, and it allows us to move some horses around as we wish. A couple of them might maybe not be able to do it. Miami Valley, we can swap them out, but we also have that base at Northfield. We have a couple empty stalls now that we can fill up with horses we might want. Because yes, I see some that I might want. And it just gives us the flexibility we need. Now, the only big question is the caretakers we are trying out this week. Luckily, we had 3 or 4 people saying that they might want the job at Northfield Park that we're looking for. We actually needed 2. And if we can find 1 or 2 in the 3 or 4 that are coming out to look at exactly what we're offering and whether it's going to be a good fit for them or not, then that will work out well for us also. So I think this week will be a pivotal moment in our winter. 2026 obviously started off great with the 2 wins, kind of a so-so week last week, and that's being kind to so-so. And then this week, come out swinging, finished off the week strong on Sunday, and got some real decent shots so far at the start of the week. So that's the plan for the barn moving forward. We have Woodmere Betcha racing tonight. She was supposed to come to Ohio or Pennsylvania, and at the class she's in, they opened up for her, I believe. I can't imagine she's 7-2 in the 3 to 4 year old non-winner's a 60, 20 claimer. If that is the non-winner's a 60 and she fits in it, great. She can stay there until she doesn't have a class, but this is her only class in Ontario. If they did in fact open this class for her, I did not check the entries, but if they did in fact, I guess I could check the entries right now really quickly as we talk, very easily actually. Standardbred Canada, main menu, just bear with me for 1 second here. Okay, log in, Woodmere Betcha. I don't know about these ear pods. They keep falling out of my ears. They got big ears, maybe, I don't know. Woodmere Betcha. Okay, so Woodmere Betcha has 48,000 Canadian made. This class tonight is a non-winners of 20 of 30 OSS 37.5 lifetime allowances, not averaging 17.5 per start. So that's how she got in. If she does well in this class tonight and she's picked for second, then she doesn't have a class to race. So I suspect this will be her last start in Ontario, and she's another one. Gorgeous Package fits the non-winners of 6 right now. Woodmere Betcha does well tonight. She being the non-winners at 10. I suspect one of them will head to Dover. They have a 3 and 4 year old 25 claimer, or they did. That was filling pretty regularly. And again, it's not lost on me that Foxy Seaside is not too far away. Also, very similar filly to both of them. Now, what horses do we have schooling today? Yeah, I'm not going to end with the OCDs. So we have our final OCD list. We have 6 horses, 7 horses still on the OCD list to get cleaned up first of the week. So Dr. Brown only needs to give us a green light and we'll head over there. Prada Ornata has 2 OCDs, 1 in the front ankle, 1 in the back. Again, you'd never know it watching her go, but they're there and we're going to take them out. Vine's staff is, he has 1 testicle, a little bit higher, so Dr. Latessa was worried about castrating him. So we're not going to call him a Ridgeling, but he did want to have him castrated at Dr. Brown's with a closed castration. Also, he has 1 OCD in an ankle, I believe, or a hock. That's got to be cleaned up. She's got class, left hind ankle. You could see that. Now, that one is bothering her. You could see that in her last training mile. Mordecai Hanover has 1 right hind. I don't see that in her gait, but It's got to come out. Popular Expert has one also. Here's a horse that started out great at the start of the season, was all trot, and has made a couple of breaks since. I don't doubt that OCD is bothering him a little bit. Saint Sarah has a tiny one in her right hind ankle to come out. And What's the Mystery is a little fragment in her left front to come out. It's a little more tricky in a trickier spot, but it should come out. So it may require 3 weeks in the stall, and then some treadmill work. Initially, I thought it might have to be the pool, and I was going to send her to Ontario, but Dr. Brown and Dr. Lattès have said treadmill work will be fine, and then we'll get her back going. She needs a tiny bit more time, than the other ones. But again, here's a filly that I've been in 248, 247 with, and looks awesome. So they're down there, and they can see me do my videos up here. So those are the 7 horses that are left. To have OCDs out. Nothing too serious. Just the fragment for What's the Mystery. But again, prognosis is excellent. I mean, it just needs a little more time where it's at and what it is. And nobody else needs anything serious. So schooling today. We'll end up with schooling qualifiers and where. These are the updates for you for this week. Who's qualifying, who's schooling. Capistrano Knights is close to schooling. I would say this week or next week she'll be ready to go. In New York and Royal Flushdale, we're supposed to go to the track today with Had to Know and Go Boom. All those horses were supposed to school today. Saturday's qualifiers, or Friday, Saturday, whatever day they had it, were pushed because of the weather, and all those horses are supposed to school this morning. Neuromancer, I'm not there Wednesday, so he won't school Wednesday. I'll train him hard on Saturday. I know I've kind of hit the break with him a little bit. I've trained him twice in 2.5. He's just not quite ready to rock yet. I'll train him up again Thursday when I get home. And Royal Duchess is very, very close to being ready. I suspect she could school this week. I don't see why she couldn't. We'll likely school Royal Duchess this week. Now, if Jason would rather wait a week, we'll do it next week. And she could go on to the next list, which is a week away list. But she's close. She's very close. A week away. Now, I know Harry, he drags his feet something fierce when it comes to getting the babies, the 3-year-olds ready to go. Now, some of these horses were sent in September. Look, now they're taking pictures of me doing the videos. So Harry just takes his time. It definitely longer than I would take, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. And again, when they're there, right? They fit a maiden, they fit an onwards or two. It doesn't matter whether they're there this week or 2 weeks from now. They're very close. So Love Sensation, very close. Leland, Hanover, Sweet Lake, AC/DC, and he doesn't have Steady Volo, but Steady Volo, he's actually probably 2 weeks away. So AC/DC is not schooling today. I know a lot of people asking, is he? In my estimation, he should be, but I'm not too concerned with him giving him another week or two. And remember, it's very important to understand, they only fit the maiden once, right? When they win the maiden, they're out. So if they're ready a week from now or 2 weeks from now, that's when they're ready. And if I believe they should be ready, that doesn't mean that they are, right? Harry's the one sitting behind them, and if he says, no, I just don't feel that this horse is ready to win a maiden yet, then don't qualify the horse yet. Don't school the horse. Make sure they're ready to go when they need to be ready to go. The one thing I am absolutely certain of, I have no interest in running them all up the wood all winter. When they go to the track, I want them ready to go. So if you're saying he's 2 weeks from being ready to go, I'm okay with that. Just remember, when they're ready to go, that means when they go to the track, they're ready to win. And it's hard anyway, because you know the fella down there taking pictures from the pool, yeah, he's going to run them up the wood for sure. So a couple of weeks. Those are horses that'll be ready in about a week. A couple of weeks away, I think, probably should be 3 weeks away anyway, is Tomboy Strong and Highest Honors. Now, the difference, Harry and Jason might even have them ready a week earlier than me, and Harry, it's totally different. So, Tomboy Strong and Highest Honors, I guarantee you, this thing where it falls out of my ear one more time, I might throw it right in the pool. What did I just do? I did something and stopped something. I don't know what I did. Oh, wow. I don't know whether I turned them off or made the sound from... That's weird. I can't hear anything now. The lawnmower's right there. Maybe they're turned off. I have no idea. Anyway, a couple of weeks away. Probably should be a few weeks away. Highest Honors and Tomboy Strong. Jason's telling me that Tomboy Strong is training like a monster in Ontario, which is great to hear. She fits in hours of 2 fillies and mares for quite a bit, I think. So that's great news. Highest honors. I haven't got a complete update from Jason, but he has said that the horses are training well. So that was a blanket statement, but he would tell me if any of them were disappointing him. Millie Girl and Diosa Della Danza are very close, probably a week or so, 2 weeks away from being in the race bike. Diosa Della Danza, if I'm going to be completely honest, is training awesome. Millie Girl is training good. Millie Girl cut it out the other day, and Diosa Della Danza screamed by her at the wire. But both fillies have been training very well. Foxy Seaside will probably gallop her a couple of very, very, very strong miles over the next couple of weeks. And then I'll just put her in the bike and go a mile 58 or 59. That's probably how we're going to get Foxy ready to go. And I believe that is it. Nope, that's not it. We have 3 horses I wanted to update everybody on. One I did during this video, which was Yo Mister. He's ready to go. We're going to qualify him once more, though. Truthfully, I could even argue we could take him and Drebin over to the Meadows next Tuesday to qualify if all else fails. A better mile from Yo Mister and a bigger track a little bit for Drebin, even though I don't think the turns are the problem with Drebin. But again, it would be a day earlier. I could argue for a Tuesday, Sunday start for Drebin, but Wednesday, Sunday, that day does matter quite a bit. So if we don't go again this week with Drebin, which we may not, then I could make an argument to ship 2 of them over and go Tuesday, Sunday with Drebin, and then back somewhere with Yo Mister. It's a possibility. We'll see. But he is ready to go, Yo Mister. And then 2 other horses I definitely want to talk about. Looks like Money will be coming out of the field end of January. We'll bring him out. The last week of January, we'll bring him up from Kentucky. And then obviously the biggest update, one that I love to keep updating everybody on, Save America. You saw quite a few videos I made with the glasses before I had left to go on the trip here. And I've been asking everybody every day, how is he? How is he? Oh, he's good. He's good. You know, I not the same injury, obviously. You're talking about a performance horse and, you know, me. But those pastern areas, which would be ankles in here, right? Very tender, and I know that this one, when I broke it, needed a lot of rehab. So I don't really know what the rehab we can do with a horse with screws in this pastern. But we try to keep it heated up when we can. We try to keep it covered up. Put a lot of jogging into him. Really what it's going to come down to is him. You know, and I want to go with him a lot. I want to watch his body language. How does he seem when he's jogging? How does he seem when he's training? His training schedule will be completely up to him. And that's why it's important that I go with him. It can't be, you know, how much do you want me to go? 25, okay, I went in 22, he seemed okay. No, I don't care if you're going 16, and I don't care if you're going 38. I want to see his body language. He's going to tell us when he's ready to advance, and that's kind of the situation with Save America. It's going to be a very fluid and a very flexible training schedule back to the races, and I suspect he's jogging now. If all goes well, you'll likely see Save America start when the corks come off mid-March. That would be my guess if everything goes right. Now, will there be hiccups along the way? I have no idea. But whatever he needs and whatever he has to have, he will get as we get him, try to get him ready and back to the races. As I said, best case scenario from where I sit would be when the corks truly come off in mid-March. So there you have it, everybody. 43 minutes. I tried to update everybody on everything going on in the barn. I gave you an OCD update. Who are the last horses on our OCD list to go over to see Dr. Brown? I gave you a quick update on what horses raced last week, which ones are racing this week, any issues we had from last week, how we're rectifying them for this week coming up, and then again, always important too, which horses are going to be ready to go, and when do I see them being ready to go? So a full update here from Mexico. The last couple of days I'm gone away. We leave here on Wednesday morning. And listen, it's nice to get away, especially nice to get away with my family, but it's always nice to keep an eye on everything else. So I don't think I'm to the place in my life yet where when I go away, I just shut everything off and leave my phone on the counter. I'm not that guy. I'm never going to be that guy. And as I said, happy to answer any of the questions that anybody has with the stable now or from last week or coming up this week. Very happy with the reports I've heard out of Ontario and out of Ohio, and excited to get back going with with the horses. Anyway, take care, everybody. I hope you're having a great week wherever you are. It doesn't need to be Mexico. It could be Alaska. It could be your home on the couch. I hope everybody's having a great start to their week. Take care.